Greetings and salutations, everyone, and welcome back to Deliver It. This is an Agile Product Owners Podcast. My name is Cory Bryan, and where is Kim Rodriguez?
Where is Kimberly gone? I was going to mention that I like the pink pen that you're holding in your hands.
Thank you. You gave me the pink pen.
It's a very nice pink pen.
It's a serviceable writing instrument.
It sure is.
That's what I'm after because I need to mark things.
Yes. Well, it's important that, maybe next time you'll come prepared.
Well, let's not get ahead of ourselves. I try, but sometimes, no.
Life happens.
Life happens.
So what's happening besides life?
Well, what's happening besides life? I wrote a blog post about MVP because
I saw that. I didn't read it, but I saw that you wrote it.
Our students for the last semester finished their product they were working on, and we got it deployed, trying to get it deployed. Now we're trying to figure out how to get it usable. So we're going through that with some volunteers and trying to figure out, how can we make this work? So we're going through some logo redesigns and some branding and some bug fixing and some deployment and some security things we have to do to get it to work here. But it's a good, solid product and we want to get it out there. So that's what I've been concentrating a lot on. And it's fun. I like doing that. So I want to do more of that. So
what was the purpose of the blog post?
It was about how do you define, what do I define as an MVP? And I read a lot of posts about MVP and, some people have just a sign up page and that's their MVP. And once they get enough signups, they go, okay, this is worthy enough to build it. And we actually built something, but we built it very small and very it doesn't have a lot of features, but the features that it does have prove the concept that we wanted to prove. And once we get it out there, we see what else we need to do. So I like that concept.
Very good. I'll look back and read that.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah.
What about you? Anything new and exciting?
No.
Besides a vacation coming up?
Got a big vacation coming up that we've been planning for a while, and I'm looking forward to that. I'll tell you all about it when I return.
Fantastic.
Yep. And then besides that, normal stuff.
Normal PO
work.
Machinations.
Mm-hmm. We're getting towards the end of our sprint cycles. We'll be releasing in July.
Fun.
Yes. So it's a little crazy at the office because we're all like, oh, we have so much to do and so little time left to do it. So everybody's this is like the chicken, running around the chicken with the head's cut off. Yes. This is chicken time.
Chicken time. KFC time.
It's kind of crazy.
Fried chicken, grilled chicken.
Yeah, I feel like a fried chicken right now.
It is hot out there.
It is hot
here in
out
North Carolina. It was 90 degrees today.
I swear to you, we skip over spring and we go right from winter to summer.
That's what happens.
It's unfortunate. I'm jealous for the people that live out in San Diego where it's like 70 degrees year round and sunny and beautiful all the time.
It's okay. It's okay. You're going on vacation, so you can enjoy that.
I am.
Well, I tell you, I had along with some MVP conversations and reading and writing myself, I read a very good article by Kat Newen called, I'm going to say this word because I want to keep our clean rating on iTunes, but the article is called Ship, Not Shit. I know.
Did you just use a dirty word?
Language.
Cory.
Language.
Plug my ears.
But
earmuffs. The
idea of the article and what she's trying to get across is very, it spoke to me a lot because of the thing I was trying to do with our MVP is don't release something just because you can. It has to be good. It has to be, don't just ship something because you've hit your deadline or somebody says something about it that, you have to get it out. You don't have to. It has to be good. It has to be, you can't just ship something that's going to break as soon as you send it out. You have to feel comfortable with it as a product owner to send that MVP out to the world and get feedback on it. And that was speaking to me a lot as I was trying to go through the things I was doing with the students project. Mm-hmm. So I really like that. And the quote she has in there is, don't mistake speed for precocity. The world doesn't need wrong answers in record time. So
I like that.
I really like that too, because that goes back to I can be roughly right or precisely wrong. And the same thing with process. There's a lot of processes out there that help you reestablish or establish how to do something repeatedly. But if you're building concrete canoes, nobody wants those, right? You have to build something that's valuable and you have to build that quickly. So I really like that.
And as we all know, a concrete canoe is not valuable.
No, I hope not.
Just had this image in my head, just sinking down to the bottom.
Yeah, that's the idea.
Right.
You have a crap product.
You have
Don't
a concrete
ship that.
canoe.
Yes.
I like it.
And then the other thing I was looking at, because I've been doing some of this myself, is kind of a personal Kanban. So we're product owners, we're very busy people. Outside of being product owners, we have a lot of things going on. And there's several ways that you can help organize yourself, apart from your team and your planning and everything else. But things that you're doing as a product owner, or things that you need to do as a business owner, or as a hobbyist, or things you want to get done. If you're writing a book, or if you're writing an article, or if you're planning a vacation, or planning a wedding, or doing whatever you're going to do, there's a book and there's a lot of information about personal Kanban where you can have a board for you and your tasks that you need to do that aren't part of a team board, but they're activities and accomplishments that you want to have and ways to do that. And we'll link some things in there. And there's, of course, a good book on personal Kanban, and a bunch of things that show you how to build boards and how to build and put tasks as activities, with things you want to accomplish on there. And I think that's very good for people who are super busy, Kim.
I completely agree with you. I love personal Kanbans. Or is it Kanban?
You know,
in the South, I think it's Kanban.
It depends on where you are.
Tomato. I personally use Kanban at work just for my own PO process. You know, I usually have a story and then I'll have tasks underneath it. This one is ready for grooming. This needs to go through design, whatever. And I do have my columns,
right,
so I can keep track of where things are at all times. In addition, I have one at home. Maybe it's not physical, but it's in my head. Mm-hmm. And that's a good place for it to be. So I'm constantly, I know what is where, what needs to happen next. And I also write things down quite a bit. I'm the grand to-do person.
I think there was one of the articles, one of the videos that I'll link in there had some information about, they specifically did a physical board with little stickies, and they showed a picture of, like their sales department using it. Because they were all individual salesmen, but they all had tasks they needed to get done or activities they wanted to accomplish. And the way they went about kind of making sure they had a physical board, and the process, and we've talked about it with teams, is getting the team to move a sticky over is very powerful. It's a mindset thing, right? It's, I'm done with this. Look at this. I put this over there. I have a physical thing to say, now you're done. Mm-hmm. And the electronic versions like Trello or something else don't have that same kind of feel. But if you're in a pinch or you're kind of used to it, then it's not that big of a thing to know that you're done. But when you're first starting out on doing something like that, the physical act of moving something, very powerful.
I agree.
Very powerful.
Very good. So looks like you've been reading up a lot as usual.
Yes. So we'll put that in there. But we do have a topic.
No.
Yes, we do.
No.
Uh-huh.
No, we don't.
So this is something that is very hard for a lot of people to do, is to say no.
No.
So it's one of the most important things that as a product owner you need to do, and you need to be comfortable saying it. Kim, are you comfortable saying no?
I'm not even comfortable talking about this.
Well, so let's talk about why we need to say no in the first place. So we're going to say no for a lot of reasons. The main one being we need to help everybody, our teams, our sponsors, our bosses. Everybody needs to focus, and they need to focus on the most important thing. And when you have a list and that list continues to grow, you can't focus. You as the product owner, the team, they're looking in 12, 15, 100 different directions. And you have to tell somebody no so that you can help them focus, so you can help the team focus. Because there is only one most important thing right now, and that's what the team is working on. And then everything else we can say no to.
Okay, that sounds all well and good. But I'll tell you, it's very difficult for me to say no.
Yes.
No.
Okay. It's going to get confusing.
So let me share a little secret with you.
Okay.
I don't know if you know this, Cory, but I'm a people pleaser.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to be liked.
Mm-hmm.
In my personal life, I don't want to hurt people's feelings.
Mm-hmm.
And in my professional life, I don't want to appear difficult or diva-like.
Okay.
Okay. And I don't ever want to disappoint.
Okay.
So, plus, as a little girl, I was raised to play nice, play nice with others.
Be nice with others.
And it's extremely challenging for me to go against the grain.
Yeah.
So, no is no, just, can you see me just tense up right now?
It yes.
I can't say it. It's so difficult. So that I think for a lot of people, it's a very difficult thing to do.
It is a hard word to say to anybody in professional, personal relationships or whatever you've got. But again, the reason that you as a product owner need to be comfortable saying this is because you have to say it. You have to stop all the things that are coming in so that you can help focus on a goal for your product. So if your product has a goal and somebody comes to you with something that doesn't meet that goal, you need to be able to say no. You need to be able to comfortable to say, this doesn't fit the goal that we have for this release or for this product or for this whatever. And we have to say no. If it's something that just is waste, if it's documentation for the sake of documentation, we should be able to say no, or we should say no.
Right. So let's say you can't say no.
So that's the first thing, right?
Right.
So there are several situations, and I've been in situations, and you've been in situations where you are not capable. You're not allowed.
I was going to say, you're capable. You can say the word.
I can say no, but
it's not being heard.
No. It's something that if you can't say no to somebody and have that no stick, then you're not the product owner. Let's be clear. If you can say no and you say no, you're the product owner. If you cannot say no, no matter what the circumstance is, then you're not the product owner. Somebody else is, and you're just helping them build their product.
Well, that kind of sucks for all the product owners that think that they're product owners.
They're not. They're not true product owners. They may be technical product managers. They may be, product owners for that team, but they don't own that product. They're just helping somebody else build their version of the product or their vision of the product. So you have to be able to say no to be, I think, considered a true product owner.
Yeah. And it's not just the saying no, but it's having people receive that well and understand why you're saying no and back away.
And we're going to talk a lot about this because there are several ways to say no and there's several ways to kind of soften that or to get to the point where you don't need to say that. But the bottom line is if you can say no to something, then I think you're on your way to being a product owner, a good product owner. But it is hard. Does that mean
I'm a bad product owner because I have a hard time saying no?
No, it just means you need to practice.
That's okay.
You tell me no all the time.
It's easier. It's easier to tell you no.
I'm not asking you to build something.
I don't care what you think of me.
Yeah, that's right. So as I said, we need to say it all the time. We need to say it so that we can keep focused on things. A lot of times when I say no, it's because so I have not a confession, but I have a lot of tabs open on my browsers when I'm doing something because I do a lot of research. I do a lot of thinking. I do a lot of analysis about one particular design or one particular thought or business problem or something else. So I'm constantly looking at things. So typically when I want to say no is because it's something that somebody is going to ask me that I've already thought of or that I've already researched. And so my instinct is to say, no, I've already researched that. That won't work or that doesn't fit with what we're doing. And I need to stop that. I have a problem with saying no too quickly sometimes, which is interesting. Kind of because, and I've had to tone that back because to your point, I don't want to be seen as negative, overly negative.
Difficult.
Although I am negative and difficult. I mean,
you don't want people to know that you're negative and difficult.
Yeah. That'll come as you get to know me and as you work with me.
Hiding.
But there are some things that I will say no to, and I will say no probably too quickly, that I need to back off and go, okay, I've already thought about that, but let me hear your explanation. Let me hear what you think. And if it's not something that I've thought of, then that's great. That's where we start to have conversations, and I'm open to those types of avenues and other things that people bring to the table that I haven't thought of, obviously, because I'm not the smartest guy in the room, and other people have better ideas than I do sometimes. And if they fit the goal and the mission of the product that we're building, then great. Let's hear them. Yeah. So hard nose, right?
Hard nose.
Well, not an NOSE.
Oh.
A no, just a flat no.
Oh, a no.
Yeah. So that is usually my last resort. Okay.
The hard no.
The hard no. There are other things that we can say that are essentially the same thing as no. And that's where I've tried to focus most of when I tell somebody no. What I'm basically saying, when I say these things is no, but it's a softer. So things like when somebody asks you for a feature, can we do this feature? Not now. Maybe later. Let's look at it. Let's think about it later, but not now. Not now means no.
No.
Right? It means no, not right now. Maybe it means later. If it's somewhere where somebody asks me something and I can tell they're really passionate about it, and it, like, again, it's something I've looked at, or it's something that I need to follow up, then let me look. Let me think about it. Let me do some research and get back to you. So get back to you is not no, and it's not later. It's just let me think about it and do some research.
These are delay tactics.
They are, but sometimes they're things where you actually have to get more information, and sometimes that's not the most important thing.
And sometimes you're just lying to get them away from you.
Well, and sometimes you want to your point, you want to make people feel good.
Feel good.
Or you're worried how they'll perceive you. Does the person you're getting ready to say no, what do they think about? Do they receive that no well, or do they not take no well at all? And do you have to kind of massage the message with them? Not lie, but massage the message with them. Tweak it. Yeah. And then I think one of the most important things that I use when somebody asks me something that I automatically want to say no to, or I would be inclined to say no to, is tell me why you want that, or tell me why you think that. Because there's probably a really good idea that they have that when they come to me and say, do this, my initial reaction is no, because they said do that. But what they want is probably pretty valuable, or could be valuable. So tell me why you want that, or tell me why you think that, and let's discuss, and let's see if we can pull out the piece that I can say yes to. I want to say yes to good ideas. So help me get to a good idea where we can agree that this fits, what we're going after.
That's all good.
Yeah.
I'm okay with this. This doesn't feel as harsh as no.
Yeah, that's why the no, what you're saying is no, but you're saying it in a constructive, positive way.
Right.
Which is, again, hard for some people, easy for some, hard for you, easy for me. But again, perception angle is the same, right? I'm going to be perceived as overly negative. You're going to be perceived as somebody who won't say no, right? Which you don't want either, because you don't want people to run all over you.
No.
No.
I don't want to be a doormat.
That would be bad.
That would not be okay.
Yeah.
Nobody respects a doormat PO.
No. So again, when you're restating things, when you're asking for why they're looking for something, ask them if there's a chance that you can, build on that. Is there a yes and type moment you can do? They said, I want this because it'll get us more users. Yes. And we can get more users by doing X, Y, Z, or take a spin on their thing. Restate it, make sure it fits the goal, or give them an or. A yes and or an or.
Little option. Never
Little
hurt
options.
anybody.
That's right.
Yep. So what other ways that we can say no without saying no? I like the yes and.
Yeah, yes and's a good improv technique. If you've ever seen any Whose Line Is It Anyway, or you've gone down to Comedy Sports, or you've seen any improv on TV, that's the thing where that's one of the class things they teach you is you never stop the scene. The scene has to keep going. And when you're brainstorming, you're with your team or with a sponsor, you want to keep building on the good ideas that they have and steer it towards something that you can actually build or something come to a resolution on. So the yes and thing is a way to do that in an improv.
Right. There's definitely an air of creativity behind the scenes too. So it's almost like you have to be prepared in a way so that you can have the appropriate response.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Does that make sense?
And if you don't have the appropriate response, that's where you say, let me research that.
Let me think about that.
Let me get back to you. Or let me talk to somebody about that because I don't have all the information or they know more about it than I do.
You know what's interesting, Cory, is that oddly enough, saying no to my team, it comes a little bit more naturally to me.
Yeah.
I think it's because they know what is expected of them. I've communicated that, so there shouldn't be too many surprises. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I was thinking about, times that I do need to say no to my team and, priorities if they want to redefine the priorities, which sometimes they do.
Sometimes they do.
And that's not okay because I don't like features being prioritized by anyone but me.
Yeah, sometimes there may be a technical thing that they want to raise up as this is an issue. You as a product owner need to know about it so that you can say, okay, I agree that that's a change and let's go ahead and change the priority or change what's in scope. But you've had input into that. They just didn't do it on their own.
Right. And at that point, if that is the case, then it's up to the PO to understand if it really is necessary and to dive into the details.
Yeah.
Especially if you're a non-technical PO, when they talk about some sort of infrastructure thing that needs upgrading. I don't know what that means. So I have to ask, well, what does this affect if we don't do it? And, it makes me kind of pause and ask questions instead of just coming out and saying no.
Yeah.
Yep. Another thing is story or sprint creep. So we talk a lot about the concept of building a Honda versus a Rolls or Bentley or Mercedes or whatever. So my team likes to perfect the features, and I find myself having to continually rein them in.
Yeah.
Because we don't have time.
Yeah. Gold plating is not what we're after. We don't want gold plating. We don't want full architectures or full things built out. Again, we're trying to build the story, and that story does not include all the other things because we've groomed it. We've established what we're building. Don't keep adding on to it. Just build this and then we'll do something else later.
And luckily we have the paper trail of the story. So I can go back and say, look, this is the constraint to the story. This is what we talked about and groomed and decided on. And that's all we're doing.
Yeah.
So I have a little leverage to say no.
Yeah.
I like leverage.
But again, that no is because of the goal that you've got. I want to get this story done for the sprint. I want to get it delivered. I want to get this out there and get feedback on it. And all these other things that I could say yes to because they're probably great ideas or they would be good for the product don't fit the goal of the story. So I have to say no.
Correct. Yeah. And then you talked about done, but what about done?
Yeah.
So again, I'll push back if the story is not done. I'm not going to accept it.
That's right.
And that's just, again, it's a hard line in the sand.
Yep. Where's your test? Where's your document? Where's the number 3 acceptance criteria? Where is that? Oh, we didn't get it done. Then you're not done. Go do it. And then we'll come back. So that's not a no. That is a no. That's no, you're not done yet with the story.
No, I'm not going to accept the story.
No, I'm not going to accept the story. That's exactly right.
But again, these rules have already been laid out. This is stuff we've already discussed. Nothing is a surprise.
Yeah. This is, and there's a word I really like is disciplined. This is, we know what we need to do. And if somebody else is not going to enforce it or make sure the team's not going to self-police to make sure that what they agreed to, they're going to do, then we are as the product owners, because we're ultimately responsible for this, right?
Absolutely.
And then again, some delivery limitations, right? Like if the team wants to deliver something on a platform that's not supported in your organization, then you can't do it. It may be a better technology platform or maybe something that's really cool. The latest, version of the JavaScript that came out that somebody else is using and looks really cool, but we can't use that here, or we can't use a certain browser, or we can't use a certain technology or platform. We have to be able to say no to the team that no, we can't deploy that, or no, we can't build that to even start with. Forget about deploying it. You shouldn't even start if we can't even do it as an organization.
And I do applaud the fact that they come to us and they want to improve and they want to make things better.
Absolutely.
And they've got great ideas. So that's all good. I give them claps for that.
Yes.
Well, golf claps. But I'm okay with saying, no, we can't do that for now. Yes. Because again, I'm ultimately responsible for what we're delivering and what we've committed to and what the goal is.
That's right. And as easy as it is to say no to the team, Kim, how hard is it to say no?
I can't say no.
To a client.
I can't say no to the client. I don't want them to not like me.
So when a feature request comes in, okay, you don't want your backlog to contain things that are 6 months old.
And it does.
You know why?
Because I can't say no.
You can't say no.
And I just put it in the backlog.
Yes. And it goes there to die.
It
basically,
does.
Right? So if you've got things that are on your backlog for 6 months, you or somebody should have said no at some point, either in a grooming session when the thing first came in. No, we're not doing that. Or no, we can't do that right now. Let's look at this next year, or let's look at this later. But for right now, no.
So, and this is where I'm conflicted. Okay. So we cannot foresee the future.
No, absolutely not.
How do I know that in 6 months, this may be something that bubbles up to the top of the list of things we need to get done? Now, if I don't capture it at that moment, we don't have it until someone brings it up, I guess, in 6 months.
In 6 months, they bring it up again because it is still a thing. So we mentioned at one time having limit the number of things in your backlog, right? So when you get to that limit, that's when you start making trade-offs. That's when you start saying, I can't put that on the backlog until you take something off. So that's another way to say no, right? I'm saying, no, you can't add something unless you take something off. So that way I get two things. You get your feature on the backlog, and I get to get rid of something that's been on there for 6 months that we're realistically probably never going to do. So when you get to that game, when you can start saying no to features or start negotiating on features, which is another thing you need to do as a product owner, that means that you can focus on the most important thing again. But you have to say no to some of those things. Some of those ideas are just ideas, and they're great discussion points, but they don't get on the backlog, and they shouldn't.
I agree.
And sometimes we have to say no to schedule. So there's several times when we're talking about schedules, and granted, our release cycles could be kind of set where you have releases every month or every quarter or whatever else, and the content, which you're actually scoping in that release, is variable. And that's the way it typically works. But if they say, I want you to change and put these features in by this date, that's a scope. No, we're not fixed price, fixed delivery, fixed scope. We can't fix everything. What we can do is we can get you these features by this point, or we can do these features by this date. So we're not going to change our schedule and everything that's in it to meet something. So there's some limits, and those limits mean you say no when you've hit them.
That makes sense.
They do make sense until you actually have to say no to somebody. So there's several things where you can say no about design too, where the experience is not right, or the path through the application doesn't fit. So you should have some guidelines, some styles, and they should fit with your product or your organization or whatever you have. And you should be able to say no to those as well. It helps when those standards are in code.
I was just going to say, it helps when you've got people backing those standards up for you too.
Yes.
I feel like in order to say no, I need to have like a posse of people that are behind me.
You need support
with my no's.
Absolutely. You need support, because if you say no and somebody else turns around and says yes,
and they're supposed to be on your side,
then you're not the product owner.
You're not the PO.
Yeah. So, and be mindful of that. Okay. We mentioned it, but if you're not the PO, then understand that if you say no,
it's not going to mean anything.
Explain the reason why. Okay. So I want feature X. Well, feature X would distract us from building feature Y, which we're already in process with. So that's why I said no. And they can either agree to that, or they can say, well, I don't care. You're going to do it anyway, which is not good. But at that point, you've explained why you said no. You've given them the information that they needed to make a poor decision. You can't help them you shouldn't help them make a poor decision, but you can help them understand why you said no.
Can you come back later and say, I told you so?
In your head and when we have drinks. Absolutely.
Told you so. So we talked about saying no to the team, saying no to the client. There's also having to say no to the company. Again, I'm a little bit better with that.
Yeah.
Not so great still. So reasons we'd say no, when they challenge agile basics, right? So demos and retrospectives. And
yeah. Don't skip those.
Ceremonies.
If the company wants to skip those, tell them no.
No, I mean, a good product owner knows the process.
Yeah.
And can leverage that knowledge to push it back.
Yeah.
Back on that. My dad used to tell me that knowledge was power, and that giving you knowledge, gives you more street cred. So by knowing the process and knowing why it's important that we do things, we can push back on the company a little bit.
Again, you can't save somebody from making a bad decision, but
No.
you can tell them, look, this is the way we're going to do this, and this is why.
Mm-hmm. So then we talk about project changes. So as quick as we want to say no, I think it's important that we listen to their request, acknowledge it, maybe understand where it's coming from. And then, that doesn't mean we actually jump to yes, but at least we can understand where it's coming from and gently kind of push back on
Start the discussion. Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah. One thing I'm always protective of my velocity calculations, because when the company when a project manager contacts me and wants my velocity calculations or wants a number, that means they're going to start doing math with it. And that means they're going to find a way to optimize our delivery strategy and make sure everybody's 100% utilized, which is just BS, because that's not what I'm after. So I do a lot to give them something that they can use that is not the velocity or not something that they can do math with. I had a project one time where we were talking about how to split things up. And part of this was we were at scale and I had to find a way to collate all the information for the teams. But I gave them, here's a number of circles that you can have. And it was abstract, right? It was 5 circles. It was 3 circles. It was whatever. Didn't matter. But it wasn't a 7 that they could look at and say, oh, I can add 7 here and do this. And then I get the number that if you should be doing 30 points and you're only doing 20. So make it 30. No, I'm not going to play that game.
So what do they do with their circles?
It was a capacity thing. It was basically when you fill that up, you're done.
Right.
So
these circles burst.
Yes. Yes. And same thing with team comp. I mean, one of the things I'm very cautious of and very protective of is the team that's been formed that we're working with. So we want to keep them together. We want to keep them working. We want to keep everybody on the project at 100%. So we don't want to have, people ripped out in the middle of the sprint. We don't want to have, I may lose somebody from a team because of some reason, and that has happened and that's going to continue to happen. And I will try everything in my power to make sure that they're on the team at least to the end of the sprint, and then we can change it.
So when you say team comp, you really mean team composition?
Yeah. Developers, testers, who's on it, who's doing things on there, and making sure that that stays static as long as it can, because we want the team to be built and to form and to work well together.
What about team pace?
So I've had some people in retrospect have said, oh, can we just do a 3-week sprint because we've got a lot of work? No.
You mean in the middle of the release, they just want to change up the sprint iterations?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. No, we're not gonna change the sprint iteration. We can change our delivery. So yeah, I'll say yes that we could change our delivery if you want to do another sprint. Sure. Mm-hmm. If everybody agrees and understands what the impact of that is. Sure. But we're not going to arbitrarily say, well, we're going to change our sprint delivery or we're going to change.
We'd have to start the velocity from scratch all over again.
Yeah. Yeah. You have to stick with some baselines.
Yes.
So no to that. And to documentation, again, anything that I'm doing just for the sake of doing it, busy work, oh, we need this documentation. You really don't. What you need is the information in the document. So instead of a 60-page charter, I'm going to give you a 1-page charter. That 1-page charter is going to have everything you need to know about the project and where we're going to go. So the 60-page document that I could write that would have a lot of the same information and a lot of BS, a lot of just boilerplate stuff, I'm not going to do that. So here's what you need, and let's go to the next thing that we need to talk about.
People really want a 60-page document?
Yes.
That sounds horrible.
I know it.
For the person who's writing it, for the person who's reading it?
Yeah. And because they think that means you know what you're going to do, and you don't.
The more words, the better.
The more they try to delude themselves into thinking that the more that I plan this out, the better off I'll be. You know the least amount at that project at that point when you're starting to write documentation like that. It's a traditional waterfall thing, right? You go through all those requirements and all those phases up front before you build something so that you think you understand everything, but you know the least at that moment before you start building something. That's why I like Agile just to begin with, is because you start building and you find out whether you're correct or not a lot sooner than writing a document and then months later finding out.
Right.
So we talked about saying yes.
We talked about saying no.
Let's say no.
But
now,
we can talk about saying yes.
We should say yes a lot.
I say yes a lot.
Yes.
I'm good at that.
Yeah.
Now we can talk about something I know all about. Say yes.
Your smile has come back.
I know. I feel much less stressed out.
So the things we want to say yes to, I think, are categorized as meaningful changes. So anything that's meaningful, anything that's improvements, anything that's good for the team, for the product, for the company, Yes. All the time. Yes.
Okay. I agree with that.
Okay. Good. Especially if the team wants to improve how they're working. We want to improve our deployment strategy, or we want to improve our test coverage or something like that. I want to say yes to that. I need to see the impact of that because I may have to say no, but I want to say yes. I want to hear them out. I want to hear what they have to say.
I love when the team comes to me with ideas for improvements because it makes me feel as if they're truly engaged and that they support what we're doing and that they're full in.
Yeah.
They're all in, and that makes me happy.
Yep. And I've read, I think, Bob, and I'm trying to check, but I think that Bob has said at one point, Bob Galen has said at one point that every time he tells the team no, he wants to come back and tell them yes 9 times. So he wants to have the impression of yes being the majority of the answers that he gives and I give as a PO. I feel like I need to make my yeses known because my no's are so hard or seen as that's what people remember, right? Sometimes for me, especially, that's what people remember. Cory said no. I said no. True. I say yes a lot, but those yeses are kind of glossed over and they're just, oh, okay, we'll do it because I say yes a lot, but I say no when I have to, but making sure I feel like I need to take a ticker count of times I say yes today.
I said yes.
I said yes 16 times. I said no twice. So on balance.
Is it because your no's are so harsh that they remember the no's over the yeses?
They probably are.
You know, you should do like when you say yes, you should jump in the air and do a little cheer. Yes!
Yes!
And then spin around and then they'll remember those yeses.
Ring a bell. Yes. A yes bell. But yeah, I again say yes. We want to say yes. If we have to, we say no, but we should be prepared and ready to say no.
Right. It's all about preparation and knowledge.
Yep. And then again, if we can say what if, we can say, let's talk about it. Let's look at it.
Explore the possibility of.
But be ready to say no.
I understand what you're asking for. Have you considered X, Y, Z?
Yep.
So there's other ways you can say no without saying no.
So practice in the mirror. Kim.
I had to practice in the mirror?
Practice in the mirror saying no.
So awkward.
No.
My husband's be like, what are you doing? Why are you saying no in the mirror constantly?
All right. So if you have problems saying no, dear listener.
I understand. Talk to me about it.
Or if you have questions about saying no.
Ask Cory because he can give you answers.
I'll say no to you. No, write in, ask a question, and we'll do our best to help craft a way that you can say no professionally, respectfully, and ultimately to get your product out.
I wonder if this is a hot topic for other POs out there. It's just a struggle for me, and I wonder if it's a struggle for other people, or is it just me? Am I the weird one?
You're the only one.
I'm the only one. Everybody else has no problem
Globally,
saying
everybody
no.
else is fine.
All right. So we want to get feedback from you, our listeners, on any questions you have in the PO space, problems you're facing, sharing any sort of good ideas for improvement, or any issues with the show itself.
That's right. And you can find us online at deliveritcast.com, on Twitter at deliveritcast, or you can email us at deliveritcast@gmail.com. And we have a question.
We do. So Chuck wants to know, why the disclaimers at the end of the podcast instead of the beginning? Have you guys ever been chastised by customer or management for doing something covered by your disclaimer?
Not yet.
There's still time.
There's still time. So the simple answer is, why is it at the end of the podcast instead of the beginning? It's because nobody cares about it. It's
Chuck cares.
Chuck cares about it, but it's boring. It's there just to give kind of an idea of, we're talking as ourselves. We're not representing anybody, and we don't want to misrepresent anybody. So it's just us. We're just talking. So I've seen it, and it's probably not a 100% legal defense, right? Like if we say something,
it's close enough.
Yeah, they will still get fired if somebody doesn't like it. But we would really like to not get fired, right?
We don't want to get fired.
No. So it's at the end just because it's there on our sign off, and it's quick, and we get it out of the way. But no, we've never gotten in. Well, we've done 6 episodes. We haven't gotten in trouble yet.
Not yet.
No.
Again, there's always time.
There's always time. And we're always trying to be careful to make sure that we give good general advice. But again, these are our opinions. These are our ideas.
And we don't curse.
Except for...
Although today you said a curse
because
word.
it was in the title of the article.
This is actually a good time to give the disclaimer.
Is it? Well, that would mean I have to get my
oh, you weren't prepared.
I'm not prepared.
We can talk about other things if you're not prepared. Oh, here we go.
Now
you're prepared.
And the disclaimer is that these words are our own and are not endorsed or representative of any company or organization. But again, if you want to, if Chuck wants to endorse us, he can.
What's up, Chuck?
Yeah. You can find me online at @iscoreybryan on Twitter or infrequently blogging, as I did recently, at don'tyellatme.wordpress.com.
And as always, I can be reached through the show contact info.
And we just delivered episode 7.
We delivered it.
Woo-hoo.
Woo!
Thank you very much for joining us, and we will.
Oh, what are we going to talk about next time?
I don't know.
Oh, we'll have to figure it out.
Send suggestions. Send ideas. We'll figure it out.
Send comments.
Bye-bye.
Bye.